It's quite possible that you're watching the crypto market dip right now and perhaps wondering, is the bull run over? Let me tell you definitively that it is not. This is just a healthy pullback. It's something that we've seen very consistently, very reliably over the years. In fact, it's actually the right time to buy the dip before the market rebounds. But that being said, obviously you can't just be buying anything. We've got you covered as usual. In this video, I want to talk specifically about 4 coins that I feel have some of the strongest fundamentals for the rest of this bull market, and also some real key indicators like tangible, objective, empirical indicators that tell us a strong rally is on the way. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. Happy Friday and all the best of luck if you choose to invest. As always, I genuinely wish you very, very well. Just remember though, I am not a financial or investment advisor. And I just say that because it means this video is not official financial or investment advice. Just a quick word here, if you're watching this video in English, but maybe English isn't your first language, we realize that a lot of our viewership speaks Spanish, speaks Hindi, maybe speaks some other languages that you can actually change. You can change the audio of this video based on an auto dub feature that YouTube offers. We don't have every language in the world that's available, but we do have a few, including Spanish, including Hindi, including French, actually. And you can check that out if it's something that you'd prefer as far as the audio of this video. Then it's a pretty high fidelity translation. Not perfect, but maybe you'd prefer it if that is your native language. So check out that feature. It's pretty cool. This is going to be a very obvious entry on the list here, and it shouldn't come as a surprise if you've been listening to some of our messaging over the years. But coin number 1 here is Bitcoin, BTC. Looking at this year in 2025, Bitcoin has reached multiple all-time highs. If we take a look at the year to date, the surge is actually up more than 25% in 2025. Now, the current trend is what I want to talk about now, and what I'm telling you, you probably are already aware of. But actually, there's probably a chance that you may not be aware of 2 pretty clear, strong and clear indicators that would suggest Bitcoin is going to come back even stronger. For context, we know that Bitcoin recently hit an all-time high in mid-July of about $123,000. This rally was propelled by a whole slew of factors, really a combination of things. But for example, institutional investment via the Bitcoin ETFs, those attracted massive inflows of over $13.5 billion. Then, of course, the next big reason was the corporate adoption. So public companies added 159,000 BTC roughly, or the equivalent of $17 billion into their corporate treasuries. And this was a charge that was led by MicroStrategy that's largely popularized this kind of play, I guess, in the corporate world, arguably. But we also saw Tesla and many others. If you want to know more about which public listed companies specifically added BTC to their treasuries, it's slightly old news right now, but if you're not caught up on that fact, that development, it's pretty important. You should check out the video here. Then, of course, another pretty obvious reason for the pump is just the landscape right now. We have a very positive US regulatory environment. So from an American perspective, certainly, but that tends to be, as far as a country, the trendsetter, the thought leader in the space. So it's very significant. We had Crypto Week, Genius Act, a US strategic Bitcoin reserve. All of these factors were working together to fuel that rally that we saw. But let's get into those 2 key indicators now specifically, because we at Altcoin Buzz do believe that BTC is about to make a stronger comeback. And one of the big major indicators, the first indicator here that we're basing that opinion on, is the fact that the FOMC meeting is scheduled next week. It's happening on July 29th. Okay, but yesterday, President Trump met up with Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve, and just maybe take a look at this clip here for context.
Like it's got a long way to go.
Yes, sir.
So,
President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you?
So once again, we see that President Trump pushed Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell to cut the interest rates. Now, if hypothetically the interest rate cuts are announced next week, then as a consequence of that, we will see the price of BTC rally very hard. So next week, I would say brace yourself, be ready for at least some market volatility. For key indicator number 2, we're going to look at this tweet here, courtesy of our friends over at Altcoin Daily. This concerns the global M2, the money supply, which has hit an all-time high. This just means that the total amount of liquid money circulating in the economy has hit an all-time high. Now, historically speaking, it's been shown that when global M2 moves up, BTC also correspondingly moves up as well. Now, the rally triggered by M2 could turn explosive actually in combination with that interest rate cut if that is announced in the next week. So you take these two things together and they're very important. They are worth more than just the sum of their parts. Next on our list here at number 2 is Ripple and their token, of course, XRP. Recent performance here has been spectacular. We're trading, a little bit over $3 right now, but as a project, this one has delivered a year-to-date surge of about 420%. Lots of bullishness, largely fueled by things like legal victories, of course, and new ETF products. Now, over the last few weeks, we've seen large XRP wallets or whales increasing their XRP holdings. This is always a good sign. This is always positive action in terms of what the smart money is doing, right? Also, XRP has been really one of the very few crypto assets that have made it to corporate treasuries. For example, NASDAQ-listed Amber Group have expanded their treasury reserves by adding XRP worth $25.5 million to their corporate treasury. That happened this month, July 2025. The reason why XRP could pump in the very short-term future hinges around August 15th. That's a very important date that everyone is watching right now in terms of the ongoing Ripple versus SEC legal case. Speculation is pretty high right now that some possible indication of case progress, possibly settlement, will be disclosed at that time. And apart from this, Ripple is also seeing global partnerships, which include Bank of America, also SBI Holdings, Standard Charter, to offer remittance services. All of these things taken together greatly strengthen XRP holders' confidence in Ripple as a project, the token, of course, and the future as a whole. Now, from a technical perspective, you could argue that XRP is overbought in terms of the RSI, but is consolidating for a next potential leg up. It has sustained pretty good buying pressure. Plus, like I said, ETF optimism is also very high right now. August is looking like it is going to be a good month for XRP. The next crypto project on this list is Ethereum, and its ticker ETH. I want you to listen to this clip here.
An Ether micro-strategy of sorts in terms of a leveraged bet that other people are going to be able to buy into. Also, everything's getting tokenized. We've talked about stable coins. Right now, if you could buy Ether or Bitcoin, which do you buy?
I own both. Listen, Ether's caught up a lot. It feels like if ETH takes out 4,000, it goes into price discovery. And so we feel kind of destined to at least knock on the 4,000 ceiling a few times. The narrative of Ether is really powerful, and the market was really short. And now we have not just, one, we have two major ETH treasury companies and another one coming, and they're raising capital every day and buying Ether. And so there's not a lot of supply of ETH. And so I think ETH probably has a chance to outperform Bitcoin in the next 3 to 6 months.
Ethereum experienced a pretty steep, actually parabolic rally from $3,000 to $3,800 in the month of July alone. That's a 25% increase in less than 30 days. And the current trend is also very strong. It suggests that institutional inflows are increasing and spot ETF launches have propelled ETH close to that 3,800 mark, actually above 3,800. ETH ETFs in the United States pulled in a record $2.18 billion in just a single week. Plus, companies like BlackRock are aggressively buying ETH. In fact, since the 1st of July, BlackRock has accumulated over 1 million ETH. That's the equivalent of $3.76 billion. And really, here's why it could pump. So recently, Ethereum has seen some pretty good capital rotation from Bitcoin. We've covered this, by the way. And from our experience in terms of previous bull cycles, we know that once the BTC dominance starts to drop, Ethereum is going to be the next and really the first altcoin to rally the most. It always goes that way. Capital flows into Bitcoin, then cascades down into Ethereum, later the big caps, later the mid caps, and then the small cap altcoins. That is the pattern. That's the established flow pretty much. So that's one important observation. We're already seeing a little bit of that rotation. But secondly, and with the Genius Act that was passed in the United States, Ethereum is seeing a massive surge in its stablecoin volume, perhaps not too surprisingly, right? We believe that this is going to further increase as the Genius Act policies roll out. That's happening, by the way, in the next 120 days, so the next 4 months. Key indicators for Ethereum include RSI and MACD. Both of these favor a pretty bullish continuation here. Open interest in ETH derivatives is surging right now, and it's one of these situations, again, when you zoom out, you kind of take all of these variables from a macro perspective and you consider them together. Collectively, they do indicate a strong comeback and a rally ahead. All right, and finally at number 4 here, the last coin on this list is Solana, SOL, S-O-L, which is consistently a top gainer in terms of momentum with significant upgrades, by the way. Alpenglow protocol, for example, that are set to improve network speed and efficiency at the same time. And here's why it could pump in a big way. Technical innovation, rising transaction volumes, and increased DeFi activity. Really highly increased DeFi activity. In terms of recent price action, SOL has been near the $200 mark, kind of flirting with it, with room to run if network improvements fuel more on-chain demand. Investment giants like BlackRock and others are buying SOL for their corporate treasuries. And then those upgrades that I mentioned for Solana are very significant. They are massive, actually. And purportedly, as far as we're told, they're going to make Solana 15 times faster than Visa. And then this one is a bit of a shared trend, but once again, the Genius Act looks like it's going to very nicely benefit Solana, which is already enjoying all kinds of great metrics, spectacular metrics, in fact, in terms of stablecoin transaction volume. All of that is only set to get better and better in the next 120 days and beyond. So there you have it. I think obviously looking at this list that we've put together, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and SOL, these are some of the safer bets out there. These are the big caps that have been enjoying pretty good price appreciation versus the smaller cap altcoins in the space, which have had a tough time. They're starting to break out, but looking at the last few months, certainly have had a tough time. But these are, I would say, very much the staples in a portfolio if you're looking to capitalize for the rest of this bull market. Once again, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. Let me know your thoughts about those selections in the comments below. Also, be sure to join us on social media in those discussions. They're happening on X. They're happening on Discord. You can join that conversation. Find the links in the description of this video.